If you like this video, please click like, share it, subscribe, buttons down there. Just press it once. I need to get to 20,000 subs, and that'll be that. Please. And if you want coaching with me in Nottingham Online, all the information is in the bio. How you doing? Now, I talk about the middle of the white doesn't exist. And it doesn't. They've done studies. It's science. It definitely doesn't. But the middle of the pocket definitely does exist. But the problem is it moves. Not when you're on the shot. But what I mean by that is, depending on where you're aiming from, there's a different middle. And here is a way of trying to find that middle. Check it out. Here we go. There's obviously an infinite amount of places the balls can land to go into the pocket, but I'm going to use a few examples of shots that come up a lot to show you that the middle of the pocket does change depending on where you're coming from. I'm going to use 4 shots. I'm going to use this red down the rail here, that red under the black of the spot, and the pink in the middle, to show you that depending on which angle you're going into the pocket will determine where the middle of the pocket is. Generally, that is a spot, well, it is a spot where you've got equal amount of distance both sides to give yourself a bit of leeway. Sometimes you're playing shots where you're playing to one side of the pocket or the other, but generally you're hitting for the middle of the pocket, and that middle of the pocket, like I say, is giving you a little bit of a gap either way. So basically it gives you a bit of room for error. You know, with this black, for example, people are always saying aim for the top jaw. Don't do that, because if you hit it, you might miss it. Plus, if you're erring to that side of the pocket, right, you're giving yourself less leeway that way than you are that way. So if you catch it a little bit thick from here, maybe, on the cutback black, then obviously you're going to miss it. So my advice would be to find that middle, and then you've got a bit of leeway either way. So here's shots. First, this red. So down here, this is what it looks like behind it, look. Apparently these are big pockets, these stars. So from here, you've not got much space. So I would say there, look, that is the middle, isn't it? Because what that means is I've got a little bit of leeway. I can miss it a bit there and not catch that jaw, and I can go a bit that way and hopefully going off the jaw. And that gives me a little, that's why these are harder, because that little bit of leeway on this shot isn't very much. This red under the black, so I've put that red there, giving me a little bit of leeway either way, look, either way. So I can go a little bit left onto the jaw, and then go a little bit right onto that jaw, and it will still wobble in. I don't want to aim for the top jaw, because if I hit it, I might miss it. Same for when they play the black. So that is the middle, even though if you look behind the pocket, I'm not aiming for the middle, are you? So that is where you would aim for that shot there to give you that little bit of leeway. So here we go, back of a spot, shot that comes up all the time, and it's the same as that red. If I get behind that and we look at it, you see there, look, I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway either way, that side or that side, so I can not quite catch it perfect how I'm aiming, and that gives me a little bit of room for error, a little bit of wiggle room either way. So this thing about aiming for this top jaw here, don't do that, because if you hit it or miss it right a little bit, you're definitely going to miss it, aren't you? So what you do is, if you're struggling or you want to find out where the middle is, look at that pocket, giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room either way, and that is the middle. So here's another one, that pink in the middle. Obviously it's a shot that comes up all the time. Middle pockets are sometimes bigger or smaller, but there will be a middle, right? And that's what this middle is. So this is what it looks like from behind it. Let me get my camera on. There we go. So look from behind it there, look. That's my middle from that point there. And what that does there, you can see, I've got a little bit of wiggle room either way. So when I get behind that shot, I can make a decision of where the middle is, and that's just making an assessment of where I can give me a little bit of room for error either way. Obviously, some people play with your club tables maybe on older cloths. You might get a little bit of a, if you roll it in, you might get a little bit of curve because of the nap of the cloth. But ultimately, whether you've got a curl or not, there will be a part of that pocket that you're aiming at. Even if you're aiming for a bit of curl, you're going to aim for a bit of curl to that middle, from whichever direction you're coming from. So there you go. I mean, again, I don't want to be aiming for jaws. You want to aim at that spot, which is the furthest away from the jaw, both sides. Try it. You might get some joy. So there you go. The middle is giving you equal distance from each jaw or the fall of the pocket if you're playing to the middle. And that gives you a little bit of leeway. Now, obviously, we're all going to strike it absolutely perf, ovs. But just in case you don't, this is the best way of giving you the best chance to pot the ball. That is definitely better than aiming to hit the jaw, because you might miss if you do that. Comment below. See you soon.